Hey, welcome back to How I'd Market It, the podcast where we reverse engineer brilliant marketing strategies using behavioral psychology and full funnel thinking. I'm Matthew Wellington from Market Behaviourally, and today we're diving into a campaign I designed for a fictional SaaS product that helps remote teams reclaim their focus without micromanagement or burnout. It's called Focusly, and this episode is packed with actionable insights. So whether you're a founder, marketer, or curious solopreneur, you'll want to stick around. So, what is Focusly? It's a SaaS tool that creates AI-powered focus pods for distributed teams. Think time blocking, digital minimalism, deep work scheduling, all built in. The product integrates seamlessly with your calendar, team communication tools, and even uses AI to analyze your meeting load and suggest sprint windows where you can enter flow state. But here's the kicker. It's not just about productivity. It's about emotional relief. The promise is freedom from burnout, a return to calm, confident control over your workday. Imagine that sense of overwhelm just easing up because the structure is handled for you. Behaviourally, this product leans hard on loss aversion. You'll lose in 3+ hours a day without realizing it. It hits identity anchoring because leaders want to be focused, calm, and respected. And it uses friction reduction. The tool does the heavy lifting so you don't have to white-knuckle your attention span all day. All right, let's break down how I'd bring Focusly to market. Let's start with awareness. This is the top of the funnel, where people aren't shopping yet. They're just scrolling, working, and feeling low-grade cognitive exhaustion. Our job is to meet them in that mental state and spark recognition. So, we'd create 3 visibility vehicles. First, a podcast called Work Without Burnout. This features interviews with team leads who've improved deep work, with productivity coaches who share systems, and maybe even psychologists who explain what's happening in our brains when we context switch 400 times a day. The idea is to make people feel seen and give them tiny wins. Second, a YouTube series called Focus Experiments. Every week, we test different productivity strategies, like 90-minute deep work blocks versus traditional Pomodoro techniques, or calendar zeroing versus asynchronous batching. Each episode ends with measurable results. This taps into curiosity, novelty, and that inner optimizer we all have. Third, a 5-day distraction detox challenge. This one's behaviorally potent. Delivered via email or Slack, it walks users through a simple reset process. Audit your time, silence certain notifications, and block your calendar for one power session. There's a dopamine hit from each daily win, and that builds trust before we ever pitch. See, these 3 channels aren't about selling. They're about making people feel like we understand the problem they haven't quite articulated, and giving them small transformations that anchor Focusly as the guide. Next, let's talk about how we turn awareness into leads. Now, instead of just giving away a basic toolkit, we reframe our lead magnet around education and experience. This is where we blend a behavioral hook with SaaS onboarding. We give them a free trial wrapped inside an interactive hands-on course. Here's what we call it: the 7-day focus sprint. It's part education, part guided software demo. When users sign up, they get full access to Focusly for 7 days, a structured mini course that teaches deep work techniques, daily micro lessons, 2 to 4 minutes each, delivered in-app, simple daily tasks like setting up their first focus pod, reviewing a distraction audit, or running a 45-minute team sprint. The course positions Focusly as the method, not just a tool. And each lesson shows the product in action, helping people form a habit inside the trial period. It's not just about collecting emails. It's about getting them to fall in love with the experience. We still include high utility resources like the Slack auto-mute walkthrough, sprint planner templates, a Notion-based focus dashboard, But the real value is experiential. We don't say, here's what Focusly does. We show them. This approach taps into commitment and consistency. Users invest time and get quick wins. Reciprocity. We're giving true transformation, not just information. Trust building. They see how it improves their actual work week. At the end of the sprint, the CTA is crystal clear. Extend your focus flow, subscribe, and keep your progress. This bridges perfectly into our nurture campaign and sales funnel, because by the time they hit day 7, we're no longer a stranger. We're the system they trust to get into flow. And from there, the conversion path becomes natural. Now that they've had hands-on success with the tool, our nurture campaign doesn't need to convince them Focusly works. It needs to reinforce that they work better with Focusly. This is about identity reinforcement and reducing post-trial friction. We send a targeted series of emails across days 5 through 10, right as the free trial ends and decision anxiety might kick in. One email says, "You've done the work. Now keep the results." We include their personal stats, like hours spent in focus pods, number of deep work sprints completed, and even estimated time saved. We use progress reinforcement and loss aversion here. If they unsubscribe, they lose the streak and the momentum. Another message reframes the story. This isn't about software. It's about how you lead your time. That appeals to internal motivation, autonomy, mastery, and purpose, which are huge drivers in behavioral science. We also introduce social proof, a short video or testimonial from someone similar to them. Here's how our engineering team reduced distractions by 40%. Or how this founder stopped working weekends by locking in a new rhythm. Pricing stays simple, $25 per month per user. But we offer a post-trial bonus. Subscribe within 48 hours and get our Focus Sprint audio library, a curated vault of music, ambient loops, and neuroscience-backed productivity prompts. Now, let's look beyond the conversion and think retention. When someone becomes a subscriber, their onboarding continues. They don't just land in a dashboard, they land in a journey. They're welcomed with a progress tracker, a focus habits quiz, and milestone rewards for completing activities in their first 14 days. Gamification plays a key role here. For every focus pod they complete, they earn points. Hit 20, they get a Flow Achiever badge. Lead 3 team sprints. That's a Focus Facilitator badge. All of this builds investment, consistency, and community-driven status. And we top it off with a simple referral loop. Invite a teammate, and both of you get an extra month free. Now imagine this flywheel running. People join for the calm, they stay for the transformation, and they invite others because it makes them look good as leaders. Let's recap the full funnel. They discover Focusly through content, a podcast, a YouTube experiment, or the detox challenge. They sign up for the 7-day focus sprint, guided through both deep work principles and the product itself. They complete the sprint, feel the shift, and receive personalized insights. They're nurtured with story-driven emails, shown results, and offered smart incentives. They subscribe and onboard with habit building, gamification, and community. They grow into loyal users and bring others with them. That is how we market Focusly, not just as a SaaS tool, but as a system for behavioral change. It aligns with real human psychology, meets people in their overwhelmed moment, and shows up with clarity, credibility, and care. Thanks for joining me on How I'd Market It. If today's episode sparked something for you, I'm offering a free 30-minute quick win session where we can look at your marketing together and find 2 to 3 behaviorally driven improvements you can implement fast. The link to book it is in the show notes. I'm Matthew Wellington, and until next time, market smart, market human.